service department at Galley Chevrolet is clean, modern, and ready for you. Our master technicians service every make and model, including certified service on any GM vehicle. Service done right the first time, every time, right here at the all-new Galley Chevrolet.
Is this my car?
State Farm knows that for every one of those moments,
This is ridiculous!
there's one of these.
Is this my car? What? This is ridiculous.
This can't be happening!
This can't be happening.
Oh, it's happening, sweetheart.
Oh, it's happening, sweetheart.
Shut up.
Shut up!
Ah!
That's why State Farm is there, with car insurance for when things go wrong, but also here with car loans to help life go right. State Farm.
Talk to State Farm agent Marty Size or Michelle Rudolph in Albuquerque today.
Don't sacrifice quality and flavor when you're in a hurry. Golden Pride offers ribs, fried chicken, green and red chili breakfast burritos, and Frontier Cinnabons. 4 great locations, or visit us online at goldenpride@abq.com. Golden Pride Barbecue Chicken and Ribs, proud supporter of Proview Sports Network. Car Crafters, proud supporter of Proview Sports Network.
Are you sure we're supposed to be doing this?
Don't worry, I've watched him do it 1,000 times. Come on, what's the worst that can happen?
No! Bad dog!
Hi, welcome to Car Crafters. What happened?
Don't worry, we'll make it like it never happened.
Car Crafters, it's like it never happened.
The Sports Desk is proudly presented by Car Crafters. It's like it never happened.
Talk to State Farm agent Greg Shamus today.
Welcome once again to another edition of the Sports Desk. I'm Scott Coletti along with Ed Nunez. We're going to talk sports with you. We have Alden Iowani, our fine director, in the house. The guys are in the house. Jason Pohl, Josh Brown, always doing a great job. And Josh Luna also here. So we're going to talk sports. It's district tournament time just before the selection seating and selection show. And we're going to have the breakdown show here on Proview Networks. But first things first, district tournaments. And the big thing a lot of people wonder about, Ed, what do the district tournaments determine? Because if you have, like in La Cueva and El Dorado's case, you're still going to have co-champions, aren't you?
I think that's a good, valid point. Back in the day, before they went to this field and selection show or seating that they do now, they meant a whole lot. When I was a senior at Highland, Albuquerque High was 24-4 and lost in the district tournament to Los Alamos. They were out of the playoffs.
Right.
So back in the day, it meant something. So I think it's a valid, legitimate question that you bring up, and I'm not sure what the answer is, but I'll give you an example. Coach Benjamin texted me last night. What do you think is going to happen? Will Hobbs get a 5? Will another team get an 8? Clovis. Will Clovis get an 8? Clovis is at 9, Hobbs is at 5. So he asked me that last night. Gadsden loses to Deming. What does that mean for Gadsden, he asked. Now, he's just asking questions. He wants to know what we think. And again, we think the world of him. We really, think I have a lot of respect for him. So, I'm just telling him what I think because I'm looking at the rankings. I'm saying, well, Hobbs is at a 5. Clovis is at a 9. Gadsden is at a 13. Maybe they move to a 15th. But I think maybe his point was, with Gadsden, what does that mean that they lost to Deming? They're right outside the top 10 at 13. Does that cost them because they lost to Deming? So I think a lot of people have the same kind of questions that you do. I just don't know what the answer is.
Well, because last night there was a tie for first place, so La Cueva and El Dorado. And we'll see if we have some highlights later on in the show of that game. But La Cueva beats El Dorado 70-64. What does that do? That gives them the top seed in the district tournament. So now these two teams can play again in the championship game.
It'll be what, the fourth time when they play, if they
If
do
that
make
happens.
the championship. Because look,
And I say if that
Right.
happens because El Dorado now, without Cameron Valencia, depleted. Don't think for a second, even though they're very talented without him, that they don't have holes with him not in the lineup, because he was their heart and soul, and with him not on the court, they're a different team.
Quintana had 39 last night, I believe. What do you have?
I have not seen 36.
36. Okay,
Yeah.
so we know they still have him, but you're right. Without Quintana, that's going to be a.
And he was the only one in double figures, which is kind of curious. So he had a running mate in Cameron Carter who had 7, but Quintana with 36, and he was the only player in double figures.
Cameron Valencia, as James Yotis mentioned in today's article in the Journal, has 1,000 points and so many assists, and he's one of El Dorado's all-time leaders. So without him, and you know what? Look, here's the thing. I can't, as a coach or as a player, Coach Roy Sanchez, who's won 3, will say we're going to miss him, but you can't. You have to. It's the next person up, right? And it's a cliche, and it's hard to have a next person up that gives you what Quintana does. So I think La Cueva. Look though, they played some pretty good ball. They lost to El Dorado once in that district. I talked to Coach Frank Castillo in December, and I said, Coach, you've got some pieces here. You've got Isles, Ortega, Garcia, Portillo, Deshaun Lowry. I'm baffled. I told him that. I'm baffled. I think he was baffled too. They started playing a little bit better. They still got some good pieces. I don't know, again, with this class at 5A being as deep as it is with Rio Rancho, Las Cruces, Volcano Vista, Atrisco, Hobbs, how much of a run could La Cueva make? But I think your point is well taken. They're going to go through the tournament again, maybe to see each other on Saturday night.
Well, a week ago when La Cueva played at El Dorado, Iles was in heavy foul trouble. He fouled out of the game. Last night he had 26 points. He had 5 3-point makes. So Tyler Quintana, on the other hand, he had 4 3-point makes to help out to his 36 points. But when Iles is in the game, he's a difference maker for La Cueva.
You know what? That kid is smooth. He's a 6'5" scorer. He can hit the threes. He can hit the mid-range. He gets out in transition. He can get the rebounds. He can handle the ball. There's not a lot of things that he can't do of the game, and I think he does a lot defensively. So as he goes, they usually go. And last night you mentioned 26 points, and he's a lefty. Lefties are they're hard to stop. And he has a high release point. It's hard to get a block, for him to get it blocked. I thought Deshaun Lowry, starting around December after he got those football legs out from under him, started playing better as well. I think they've got a good team. They've got a good team, but let's be honest, and this is not a knock on La Cueva or head coach Frank Castillo. There's some teams in that class that are probably better. So we'll see when it comes down to the seeding and selection show where they're selected. But I get your point, though. All they're doing is going around the way and maybe to see each other again on Saturday night.
Well, where I'm going is the game last night, simply all that meant, it didn't give La Cueva the district championship. It gave them the #1 seed in the district tournament. That's a difference.
Right.
In my opinion, take out the district tournament, make it 3 games each, and then you don't have a tiebreaker. Because there's no way that one team is going to tie with the other if you got 3 games.
You know
then
what?
You alternate home sites every other year. In 1 year, one team gets 2 home games, the other gets the other, or play the third one at a neutral site, or do something, because these district games are at a neutral site anyway.
Right.
So it's kind of, last night it's like, where I'm from, if you play a playoff game, the winner is declared the district or league champion. Here you're still a co-champion, but this determined, okay, well they get the extra buys in the district tournament, and they can still see each other in the finals.
Well, that's what happened last night with Monzano and Santa Fe, right? A lot of controversy about where that game is going to be played at. And, a lot of people thought Capital wasn't a neutral site. It was. It's a neutral site. It's within the district.
Well,
it's
here's the thing.
Yeah.
That was the funniest argument, and you and I were texting back and forth about that. The funniest argument about, well, it's not a neutral site. A neutral site is not, well, hey, you got to go to Santa Fe. No, a neutral site is not the home court of the other team. I mean,
within the district.
I mean,
right?
and if you think about it,
yeah.
If you're playing Santa Fe at Capital, you're playing at Capital, which is Santa Fe's rival school. That's not a home court advantage.
Which
In
people
fact,
would
I
think
mean,
that though, right? Because it's up in Santa Fe.
Back in the day, my high school played at our rival school for neutral court games. We hated playing there.
I bet.
Because that was our rival.
Right.
You didn't want to go into that gym, and that was our home site for playoff games because it was part of the district.
Yeah.
And so don't tell me that Santa Fe was happy that they were playing at Capital, because I guarantee you there's a lot of dislike about Capital at Santa Fe and vice versa, just like there is at La Cueva and El Dorado. It would be like La Cueva playing their home game at El Dorado. How happy do you think La Cueva would be? Hey, it's in Albuquerque. Well, you know what? That's part of the territory. You got to make the trip to Santa Fe. That's no different than if Piedra Vista had a home game and you had to play at Farmington. That is not a home court advantage because those schools hate each other.
That's true. That's true. Now, people would say logistically and regionally, the fans from,
It's not about logistically and regionally.
No, I get it. I get it. But you would see where people might think that.
It's proximity and neutral. Hey, if you hold, well, we want to pick the site, that's it.
Yeah, and Santa Fe got the job done last night, beating Monzano. So they advance. And they're not they are the district champ, I believe, right? Or they're the number 1 seed.
Number 1 seed, yeah.
Not the district champ, but they're the number 1 seed. So a lot of things so a lot of things were being discussed about that. Very interesting.
No, because I mean, when you and I were texting, I'm thinking, yeah, Capital makes sense because it's there.
Right. Right, it's in the district, so a lot of
because it's just like if Monzano would have had the home, they would have had the choice of all the district schools here in Albuquerque.
El Dorado,
La Cueva, Sandia, any. I think it has to be a district school. So whoever's in the district, they would have been able to choose out of those.
Right. So.
And there's actually more schools in Albuquerque than there is in Santa Fe. So
no, that's very true as well. Very true. So
I mean, I just don't know about the setup of the district because it really doesn't. And James Otis and I have talked about it too. It doesn't give you any incentive except for giving you extra games and maybe a chance to be a bubble breaker in terms of the state. But other than that, like last night's game is kind of a worthless game, as and Adam Deal said the same about the Monzano on Twitter about the Monzano Santa Fe game, because all it did was determine who was the number 1 seed. You could have given all those teams rest and just have a coin flip. Okay, who's the
right? They used to do that
because that's what most leagues do. Okay, flip a coin. You're co-champions. Okay, you're the number 1 seed.
They used to do that
because as playing that extra game didn't determine a champion. It just determined the number 1 seed. So flip a coin, give the kids the day off, and
kind of interesting. No, it's kind of interesting.
And life is good because this time of year, come on, Ed. The state tournament, you're playing 4 games. You got to win 5 games in a week. You're playing 4 games in 5 days.
That's right.
Or 3 games, 3 games in 4 days when it comes down to Wednesday, Thursday, Saturday.
You kind of wonder if there'll be any changes to what you're talking about later down the line, maybe next year or the year after, because you make a lot of sense on that. So we'll have to see at the end.
And I'm not knocking anybody.
No, I know.
It's just all you gave was, and it could be argued from other schools. You gave La Cueva and El Dorado an extra game last night that really didn't mean anything.
No,
but they're playing while everyone else isn't playing.
Yeah, and I do.
That's a way to look at it too.
Yeah, no, I do get that.
It's really weird. So. Other stuff going on. Lobos had a break after losing to Utah State. They play San Jose State tonight. Guaranteed win night, I guess. As you got to feel for San Jose State, but that school, when they had talent, they lose the talent. I mean, New Mexico State has one of their players.
I think somebody else does too.
That was a star player a couple of years ago that helped beat the Lobos, actually. And now he's on, I don't remember the gentleman's name.
Huggins.
I think it was. No, Huggins was from Fresno.
No, Fresno.
They had a different guy, and for the life of me, I can't remember their name because, I don't keep up on the Aggies, so unless I have to.
Yeah, don't tell Will Benjamin that, man. He's watching right now. Yeah, you're going to get a mem for sure.
I'm gonna get a text message.
For sure.
Probably before
he won't
the
forget
show.
that. I'll guarantee it. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, let's talk about what's going on, and we got a lot of time to talk about. That we'll talk Lobo baseball as well, but we'll take a break right now. We'll get into the polls, and we'll talk about high school, talk about everything going on. We'll do that next. But first, the top 10 plays of the week from Dreamstyle.
Jelante Gray going to go off the window.
Shot.
That's a great inlet pass right before the buzzer. To go in the quarter, Ferguson splits a double. It's going to go all the way high window. The tip, are they going to count it? Yes, they do. Side is Madrid. Hickory dickory block. By Munn. And what a play by Here's Patterson. Put it down on the one hand.
Sadie's is a proud supporter of New Mexico high school sports and athletics, and we here at Proview Networks would like to thank Sadie's for their continued support in helping us bring you all of your New Mexico high school sports coverage.
Car Crafters, proud supporter of Proview Sports Network.
Are you sure we're supposed to be doing this? Don't worry, I've watched him do it 1,000 times. Come on, what's the worst that can happen?
No! Bad dog! Hi, welcome to Car Crafters. What happened? Don't worry, we'll make it like it never happened.
Car Crafters, it's like it never happened.
Get into the game with Garden Swartz Team Sales. They have everything you need, from screen printing, embroidery, and digital printing services, high school letterman jackets, and all high school and club uniforms and individual and team apparel with the most reliable brands like Speedline, Rawlins, and Wilson. And don't forget to check out the latest F7 Shut helmet. It's all at Garden Swartz Team Sales. Give them a call, 505-884-1234. Garden Swartz Team Sales.
This is Coach Borrego of the Charlotte Hornets. Hello to all you parents out there in Albuquerque, New Mexico. I want to congratulate 38 years for the AYBL. You guys are doing a great job. You've shaped a lot of lives, young men and women, and you'll continue to do that. Parents, get involved, sign your kid up. It's a great program. It helped shape who I am today, helped shape me as a basketball player, as a coach. So get out there, sign them up. Have a great season. Good luck to everybody.
The Barley Room, proud sponsor of Proview Networks for over 9 years, is pleased to introduce Black Iron Catering. From weddings and family reunions to birthdays and office parties, Black Iron Catering is perfect for any event. Contact Jamie at 505-459-8259 and book your event today. Black Iron Catering. Let us bring our kitchen to you.
Dreamstyle Remodeling has been wowing homeowners in New Mexico since 1989. Selected as Best Custom Home Remodeler for 3 consecutive years by readers of the Albuquerque Journal, we're also your exclusive provider for top home improvement brands like Renewal by Anderson, Four Seasons, Blaze King, and many others. Founded and headquartered in Albuquerque, Dreamstyle Remodeling is family-owned and now employs more than 500 people across the southwestern U.S. In fact, we've helped more than 60,000 homeowners improve their home in New Mexico, Arizona, California, Idaho, and West Texas Texas. We're committed to providing a superior customer experience. We've earned 4.6 stars with hundreds of online reviews and have an A+ with the BBB. Dreamstyle Remodeling is a proud supporter of UNM Athletics. Visit our beautiful 10,000 square foot showroom at 1460 Renaissance Boulevard across from Sam's Club, or dreamstyleremodeling.com to make your home remodeling dreams come true.
And we are back here on the Sports Desk. I'm Scott Galletti along with Ed Nunez. And we've got Alden Ioane, Josh Brown in the house along with Jason Poole. All the guys doing a great job, Josh Luna as well. And guys are going to get busy. It's almost state tournament time, Ed, and this week it's district tournament time. We'll look at some of the scores. Yesterday, you had Deming over Gadsden, 57-45. Gallup beat Shiprock, 80-50. Mayfield over Centennial, 71-58. This is boys. Mora beat Escalante, 46-39. Santa Teresa over Ruidoso, 63-54. So the schedule today, actually the schedule of games, some of the games will be tomorrow, as in District 1 and 5A, it'll be today's winner, Cibola Cleveland, taking on Atrisco. So there is a game tonight in District 1, but in District 2, tomorrow it'll be the first round. West Mesa at El Dorado, Farmington at Piedra Vista. La Cueva will play whoever gets to the championship game. That'll be on Saturday. In District 5 and 5A, Santa Fe with a win over Manzano last night, 54-37. There is action tonight as Sandia will take on Albuquerque High at ABQ, Rio Grande at Capital. And Wednesday will be the winners of today's game at the higher seed, and the semifinal at Manzano on Friday, and the championship game will be at Santa Fe, the number 1 seed, on Saturday at 7 o'clock. District 5 and 4A had Valencia over Grand, 71-35. St. Pius, they beat Belen 55-48. So today it's St. Pius at Valencia. Championship game, actually tomorrow will be the semifinal game. Confusing, some games on Tuesday and some on Wednesday.
Right.
But the championship game will be at Las Lunas, and that will be on Friday at 6 o'clock. And in District 6 and 4A, you got Bernalillo at Del Norte. That is tonight. ABQ Academy at Highland. That'll be a 6 o'clock game tonight. Both games at 6. And ultimately, the championship game will be at Hope, and that will be on Saturday. And we'll look at the polls here, and we have the 5A poll, but I'll go over the other polls like we normally do. In Class 2A on the girls' side, it's Texaco, Penasco, Pecos, Estancia, and Dulce. That's number 1 through 5. Mescalero 6, Lordsburg 7, Clayton 8, Magdalena 9th, and Rehoboth, they are 10th. Robertson is number 1 in 3A, followed by Tucumcari number 2, Santa Fe Indian up to 3rd, Hatch Valley 4th, Navajo Prep is 5th, Tularosa 6th, number 7 is Socorro, number 8 West Las Vegas, St. Mike's is number 9, and Tehachapi is 10th. 4A, you got Kirtland Central number 1, Las Lunas is number 2, Gallup 3rd, Highland is 4th, Pewaukee is 5th, number 6 is Silver, Portales is 7, St. Pius 8, Artesia 9, and Hope Christian number 10. This is the final regular season poll that is out. So now we have the graphics of the rest of the polls. So let's go to 5A now. And in 5A, you got Piedra Vista for the first time this year, number 1. Hobbs falls to number 2 with 2 losses on the year. West Mesa 3rd, Carlsbad 4th, Volcano is 5th. La Cueva up to number 6, even though they lost to West Mesa last week. Farmington 7, Mayfield 8, Sandia 9, and Rio Rancho 10. Kind of curious that Piedra Vista would jump over Hobbs, but you know, what can you say? They're 23-3 and playing a great season.
They're having a good streak to end the season, so Piedra Vista head coach Joe Reed has definitely got his Panthers playing well. But the other thing, West Mesa beat La Cueva again last week, and in 2 games against West Mesa's defense, Kai Ingram, the high-scoring guard for La Cueva, has a total of 1 point in 2 games.
Right.
So they've really done an excellent defensive job on her. And, you know, again, that's got to be kind of in your head a little bit if you're Kaya Ingram.
Well, they play a defense that basically, hey, if you're not Kaya Ingram, go ahead and shoot. We're going to guard her and make sure she doesn't get the ball.
Have at it. It's almost like, okay.
They were double, triple teaming her the whole game where it was almost impossible for her to do anything. And when she did do something, she was facilitating because, again, she would go to one spot, she'd be double or triple teamed at the very least.
Well,
and there were people just surrounding her. There were girls wide open all over the court, not named Kaya Ingram.
It's a good game plan to take the ball out of her hands. She's the one that's going to beat us. Let's take the ball out of her hands and make other people beat us. They didn't. But I think it's the other
Manny
matchup.
Otero had the right game plan, and it
yeah.
was executed perfectly. And the fact that West Mesa got up early, they never got behind, and were able to continue to execute that game plan. Because La Cueva, when they had a run, West Mesa had an answer.
Very well put. I think the other thing, we know we're talking about district championships and maybe teams seeing each other, you know, for the third time. You keep an eye on Piedra Vista and West Mesa in that district. Piedra Vista has 2 victories against West Mesa, both by close margins. West Mesa head coach Manny Otero said his Mustangs haven't played well in the fourth quarter, and some of that's true, but I also think that's something to do with the Panthers and their defense and the athletes that they have. Keep an eye on that. Even if they see each other in the district championship, there's still a chance they see each other in the state tournament for the 4th or maybe even the 5th time. So that's a game or district that you don't have everything to prove if you're West Mesa, if you do go down there and survive the tournament and go down there to Piedra Vista and lose. But if you do lose for the 3rd time, I'm telling you, it's definitely a little bit psychological. It definitely is. There's no doubt.
It's a lot psychological because it comes down to matchups. And what is it about West Mesa against La Cueva, that matchup?
Right.
What is it about Piedra Vista? From what I've heard, not seen any of those games, the matchup. The matchup favors the size of Piedra Vista, and they've got a lot of talent.
Plus, you know, they have the speed to close out on the shooters.
Yeah.
You know, West Mesa loves to drive and kick.
Right.
They have the athletes to stay disciplined in a man-to-man defense.
That's a great point.
And not venture out or and not get caught in bad defensive rotation. So I think, again, Joe Reed, you meet him. I told you this last week. The guy's so dang nice. He hugs you know, he's a great guy. You know, and he loves to be out there. And he says, hey, we're mirror images of each other.
Right.
So we'll keep an eye. But you know what? Not to discount anybody else in that class. Farmington's a good team. La Cueva's a good team. There's still very good teams. Hobbs has lost 2 games. Who did they lose to last week? Did you get? I didn't know who they lost to. But they've lost 1 game and a last second buzzer beater by Emily Burke earlier in the year. And then they lost another game. So I think, you know, Hobbs is another team to be looked at. Farmington. There's still very good teams in that class.
Let's take a look now at the boys coaches poll. Once again, the final regular season coaches poll. The next one won't be seen because it's part of the criteria. But there's Pecos at number 1, Newcomb 2, Texaco 3, Santa Rosa 4, Mesilla Valley still at 5.
Okay, so again, you know, I told you I talked to Pecos coach Ira Harge Jr. last week. Talked to Ira Harge Sr. Got some you know, story coming out for Enchantment Sports on the Pecos Panthers. And they played Texaco in a rematch on Friday night and beat the Wolverines for the 3rd straight time. And so I think that they're a little bit in the Wolverines' head. So Ira Harge going for that 3-peat up there in Pecos. We'll see what happens. You know, you've got some, you know, again, Newcomb jumps Texaco for the 2nd ranking there. So again, the Pecos Panthers, I would say, have to be the odds-on favorite. But Ira Harge Sr. reminded me it's hard enough to win 1, much less try to win 3. It's almost near impossible, he said, but it can be done.
Manaw continues to be in the others. What do you know about them?
Not much. I haven't seen much of them. I haven't really paid attention to them this year at all, but they seem to be kind of climbing week by week.
Yeah, they do. So we'll see what happens come state playoff time. Let's go to 3A now. No surprise at the top in 3A. St. Mike's is still there. Hot Springs still at number 2. Sandia Prep 3rd. Santa Fe Indian 4th. Cuba 5th. The top 5 not changing.
A little bit. Sandia Prep moved down to number 3. They were number 2, so I think they lost to Cuba. They did beat them, then they lost to Cuba, so they dropped down 1 notch. But other than that, not much has changed. St. Mike's, as we mentioned, except for a little blip in December, has held that number 1 ranking in 3A basketball for most of the year.
Now, the one team that did fall a little bit is West Las Vegas. They're down to 9.
Yes, they dropped a few slots as well.
I want to say they were 6 last week.
So they dropped 3. I think Cuba might have moved up. I thought Cuba was 8 or 9, and they might have moved up to number 5. So Cuba makes some move in that poll.
And I think Robertson was in the others last week, so they're now
They
at
moved
number
into
10.
the top 10.
Let's take a look at 4A, and still at the top, Los Lunas. So Los Lunas still at the top. Hope Christian number 2, Gallup number 3, Silver 4, Espanola 5. Valley is at number 6. You got Highland at 8, and Del Norte dropping down to the others.
They're a baffling team, Del Norte. I saw them play Highland last week at Del Norte. Highland came through with the win, but Del Norte has got Barton, they've got Nielsen, Wilkins, Flores. They've got some pieces. They do, and then
I love your description. Baffling.
That's what I said to Coach Castillo.
That's funny.
Because one game, okay, they played Hope to within 1, Scott.
I know
at
they
Hope.
did. I know they did.
And they had a chance to win.
Right.
And so you look at this team and you're thinking, and I'm sure, Coach, if I feel like they're baffling, what does Coach McIntosh feel like? I don't even coach them. So one night they're really playing well. The next night they lose by 15 to a Highland team's a very good team, by the way. Highland and Coach Woody are doing an excellent job at number 8. They're doing wonderful. They play Albuquerque Academy tonight at Highland at 6 in the game I planned to attend. But if you look at Del Norte again with the pieces that they have, and I saw them beat Albuquerque High earlier in the year at Albuquerque High, and that's when they were on their roll, and they've been up and down since. But I still think it's a team come tournament time that you may not want to play in the first round.
Right, absolutely. So that is the 4A, which leads us to the 5A. And we talked about William Benjamin already. His team still number 1, still undefeated, 26-0. Going into this week, Volcano Vista 2nd, Rio Rancho 3rd, El Dorado 4th, Atrisco 5th, Hobbs is now 6th, Cleveland hanging around at 7, Santa Fe 8, Clovis 9, and La Cueva 10. And I say Cleveland hanging around because they're still a lot of people's favorite to win this thing.
Well, they had a real good game last week. I believe it was against Atrisco. Was it? Did they beat Atrisco? I can't remember. Whoever they beat last week was Rio Rancho. They went up to Rio Rancho, and when they put a game together like that, and the fourth quarter had been their kind of Achilles heel, and they really blasted Rio Rancho last week. And they put a game from quarter to quarter, end to end, put it together. And I talked to athletic director Matt Martinez's brother Mike this morning, and he said that, hey, look, if Cleveland plays the way people know that the way that they can, the way people know they can, you have to watch out for them. They've lost some very tough games at the last possession, and I thought psychologically that might mess with you. But that, like I said, they went into Rio Rancho last week and really, it came away with a big victory there. So. Hobbs right there, Atrisco, El Dorado was suffering that injury there. That's Rio Rancho all the way at 3, all the way to number 3. So those teams right there, the first 7 there, Scott, I think, you know what, they're as good as any top 7 in any poll that we have. If Santa Fe, they don't, I'm not really into ifs and buts, but if Santa Fe did have J.B. White available, where would they be? Yeah, I think they'd be. They might have broken
very
in the
high
top.
up there.
Yes, yeah. I think they might have broken in.
They would be in the top 4, I believe.
Right. So
because they were that good. So having him in the lineup. Now, there was a question on the Proview poll yesterday with Adam. Who's number 1, Las Cruces or Volcano Vista? I don't see how you can't give it right now to Las Cruces. 56
straight regular season wins or 58 straight regular season wins. One of the two, I'm not sure. I saw the Channel 4 the other night, Game Day, and he either has 56 straight regular season or 58. So, yeah, I don't think there's any question who the number 1 team is right now. We'll have to see how it all – and that's why I'm sure Coach Benjamin was asking me, can Hobbs get a 4? Can Clovis get an 8? Because they're right there. And so those things will be determined on Sunday. But I think his question is, do these tournament games have anything to do with them losing where they are right now? Like you mentioned, everything's kind of been determined. They've already played each other twice. Do you lose your seeding if you lose a tournament game, a district tournament game? So I think that's what he's getting at. What do I think about that? I'm pretty sure what he thinks, but he probably wanted to know what I thought.
So when you look at this, Ed, and I think it's pretty accurate, although I would have actually Cleveland higher than where they're at because they're just so good. Their record is about as deceiving as anything. But what are your thoughts just on the overall top 5?
You know what? I don't think there can be much argument made. Again, El Dorado had the big injury there. I don't have an argument with this, Scott. I really don't. I think all those teams in that top 5 deserve to be
And
there.
obviously, this is before El Dorado lost to La Cueva last night.
Right.
So this is going into the win, going into the week, so not counting the loss.
The only thing you might flip is, maybe Hobbs breaks in the top 5, El Dorado goes to 6, but they still kept that game real close, and you're going to see how they're going to play without Quintana. Is it
Valencia.
Yeah, Valencia. And you're going to see how Cameron Valencia's injury, unfortunately, you saw that a little bit, but they made a game of it. I was watching on Proview Networks. They were down 13 at one point, and they came back. They still have some weapons there, but when you have that other scorer, Quintana's a great scorer, but you don't have Valencia out there. And how many does he average? Cameron Valencia averages what, 20-some a game?
Close to 22. Well, actually, no. Valencia is about 23 and a half. It's Quintana's averaging close to 22.
Okay, so you're missing that from,
Yeah.
who's gonna pick that up in our lineup?
They thought that Carter was going to be that guy, and he's kind of up and down in terms of being that guy, but I've noticed defenses are starting to converge on him as well.
So the other guy's out of the lineup, so let's concentrate our defensive.
So exactly.
So, but
because,
you know what?
Hey, this guy can shoot. Let's double him.
Right.
And make someone else beat him.
I'll
So,
say-
I mean, this is the time of the year where scouting goes into a lot of things.
I'll say this though, El Dorado head coach Roy Sanchez, who's won 3, has been there. He knows, how to adjust, and it's tough though when you're missing a player like that, who's one of the best players in the Metro. There's no doubt about it. So we'll have to see how they adjust to that.
All right, we will take a break and come back with more here on the Sports Desk.
The service department at Galley Chevrolet is clean, modern, and ready for you. Our master technicians service every make and model, including certified service on any GM vehicle. Service done right the first time, every time, right here at the all-new Galley Chevrolet.
Well, I'm going to the frontier, walk up to the cashier, order up a root beer and a number 1. Cover it with green stuff, 1 scoop is not enough. Find a booth that's real tough, back by the Duke. Meet my family, meet my friends in the quirkiest restaurant I have ever been. All of Albuquerque's favorite spot, it's the Frontier Restaurant.
The Frontier Restaurant is a proud supporter of Proview Sports Network.
High school sports are back. The 2018-19 season kicks off, and you could watch every Proview Network broadcast live on the NFHS network. Every moment, from every game, from every sport, including all NMAA state championships. Get your highly discounted monthly pass now. Go to ProviewNetworks.com and sign up. Watch New Mexico's best.
Is this my car?
State Farm knows that for every one of those moments,
This is ridiculous!
there's one of these.
Is this my car? What? This is ridiculous.
This can't be happening!
This can't be happening.
Oh, it's happening, sweetheart.
Oh, it's happening, sweetheart.
Shut up.
Shut up!
Ah!
That's why State Farm is there, with car insurance for when things go wrong, but also here with car loans to help life go right. State Farm.
Talk to State Farm agent Marty Size or Michelle Rudolph in Albuquerque today.
Don't sacrifice quality of flavor when you're in a hurry. Golden Pride offers ribs, fried chicken, green and red chili breakfast burritos, and Frontier Cinnabons. 4 great locations, or visit us online at goldenpride@abq.com. Golden Pride Barbecue Chicken and Ribs, proud supporter of Proview Sports Network. Car Crafters, proud supporter of Proview Sports Network.
Are you sure we're supposed to be doing this? Don't worry, I've watched him do it 1,000 times. Come on, what's the worst that can happen?
No! Bad dog! Hi, welcome to Car Crafters. What happened? Don't worry, we'll make it like it never happened.
Car crafters, it's like it never happened.
The Sports Desk is proudly presented by Car Crafters. It's like it never happened.
Scott Coletti along with Ed Nunez. This is the Sports Desk. We do it each and every Tuesday morning, 10:30 live on ProView Comcast 26 and on Facebook Live. You can also see it streamed on YouTube as well after the fact. Got you covered on that, got you covered on the playoffs. NFHS Network will also have you covered on the state tournament, Proview producing, of course, and should be a lot of fun, Ed.
You know, I got to tell you a story that when I worked with Henry Zafoya, the legendary broadcaster, we did a state tournament like in 2009. And I remember, I don't know how many games we covered. I have no idea. But I remember waking up Sunday and I could barely talk. I couldn't barely talk.
That was me last year.
Oh, gosh. And I don't know how Henry did it for so many years.
I think Adam and I were joking a few years ago when we basically both were like gung-ho and we lost our voices at the same time at the last day of the tournament.
I remember when you did. I remember. And, you know, you powered through. You're a pro. You know how to do that.
But we both had the scratchiest voices. Mine was a little worse than his, but it was funny because we just did so many games. We loved it. And,
yeah,
you have to do it again. You do it in a heartbeat.
People don't understand. Okay, so it took me a while to really get my play-by-play, shtick down. I'm still working on it. But people don't understand. You have to be like, you have to be descriptive, energetic, enthusiastic. Henry T would do this to me when I broadcast with him. If I wasn't doing, we're on radio so nobody could see it, but karate chop, bam. In other words, don't come in like that or come in. So I learned a lot from him.
Yep.
And I can laugh about it now because I've got my own style. You have your style. Adam's got his. Sebastian Noel, Richard Tripp. Everybody's got their Tyler Ortega. Everybody's got their own style.
Mine's more of a tap than a karate chop. But yeah,
oh man,
Henry's got the karate chop. You and I have talked about that, and I've talked with him about that too. It's kind of funny.
Oh.
I've actually experienced the karate chop my first year doing baseball with Henry for the Lobos. When he had the Lobo contract. I felt the karate chop. So
or he'd give me a little jab. So I started having to give him some back, man. Because he was like, I'm like, and so. But I think there's a lot of things that people don't understand as far as the wonderful play-by-play people that we do have. It's a lot of work, a lot of prep, and a lot of a lot of work.
Take a look now at the highlights of last night's game as we had La Cueva and El Dorado and. A rematch of sorts. The two teams just played a week ago last Friday to be exact, and it was Tyler Ielts who was fouled out of the ball game, and it really hurt La Cueva. But La Cueva, when they can get those outside shots going, especially this guy, they're tough.
I thought Micah Cooper played a good role last night too.
Yeah, you mentioned Ielts, and you mentioned the word smooth. Micah Cooper is another guy who can be considered smooth.
Yeah, Micah Cooper played a very nice game last night. He really did.
Yeah, he's a fun one to watch. And, Valencia out of the lineup, but Quintana's got that range. And, you got Carter on the outside as well. But, Quintana, when he decides he wants to take it to the rack, he does.
Not too many people could look at that move there by Micah Cooper. I saw that last night. That was beautifully done.
Yeah, see, that's the thing that Micah Cooper also brings is defense. He's got deflections down. He'd be perfect for the Lobos because he's a deflections guy, but he gets a lot of steals.
And then scores in transition, defense to offense.
Or he leads a transition, leads the break. I mean, he's always looking up to pass it.
Makes good decisions.
Exactly. So you had La Cueva leading this one throughout, and that was the difference between the last ball game. The first kind of the same way where La Cueva led throughout and eked their way past El Dorado, but without Valencia, it was very tough. You had Domina Lovato hitting that three, and it was a 44-39 game, but clutch shot there by Quintana to make it a 5-point game again.
That's a beautiful move by Lowry. Beautiful.
Yeah, Lowry's gotten to be extremely good as well. So El Dorado kept playing comeback. It was a 3-point game, and then boom, that was the dagger right there. To make it 53-46, final minute, El Dorado kept playing. When these two teams play together, it's not over until the final buzzer.
Anytime they go at it,
that's a cliche, but it's accentuated with these two teams.
Of course, no matter what site they're playing at. And look at the crowd too, Scott. Pretty good crowd over there at Sandia.
Yeah, absolutely. I love Sandia's gym, by the way.
I do too. It's got an old school flavor to it.
It really does. Yeah. So, and when there's a lot of people, it gets loud.
It really does. Yeah, I've seen some great games there as an official, when I played, when I coached. Some great memories there at Sandia.
See, how many first rounds of the district have a crowd like this?
Yeah, no.
It's only because it's La Cueva El Dorado.
Right. Yeah, no, they really.
You could put these two schools with tiddlywinks and it'll draw 5,000
You bet they will.
people.
Chess match, whatever it is, yeah.
It doesn't matter.
Yeah.
It will draw a lot of people. So you had La Cueva with the big win. So La Cueva gets the bye throughout, and they will be the host of the district finals. So that is key for them. So they don't have to play until the final game of the district playoffs. So it's going to be outstanding. So the reason why I was at a neutral site yesterday is because of the tie in district. Now it's host sites.
Right. So, yeah.
Just to explain that, why were they playing at Sandia? Because the two teams tied for first, so it had to be played at a neutral court.
Same thing with Monzano and Santa Fe last
Yes.
night being played
Yeah.
at Capitol.
So now the higher seed gets the home court throughout the district tournament.
Right.
So that's the confusion too, kind of, because it makes sense, but you know, if you're not paying attention, you get confused.
No. I mean, that's why I think James Yoda's article today in the Journal, a lot of times when he writes on things, he explains things as no one else can. He meets the guys out there every night at every sporting event. How many sporting events is that guy? I think I go to a lot of sporting events. How many does he go to?
Well, sometimes as a newspaper guy, I know this from personal experience, and sometimes they're close. Sometimes you have to drive a little bit. You can go to as many as 3 or 4 events in a day.
That's right. He
and
probably
be covered. And I know he goes to at least 2 to 3.
Right.
At least.
Yeah.
Because you know, oh, I've got swimming, then I got basketball, then I got this, then I got that, and it's like he's all over the map.
A lot of work, you know, covering.
He's
getting
amazing.
Quotes and putting your story together. A whole bunch of work, and he's done that for so many years.
So let's talk global basketball. The women are kind of behind the 8 ball now because you lose those conference games, and in the Mountain West where you don't have the luxury of being a P5 conference, it's hard because the minute they lost that game, I'm seeing on the message boards, the headlines, well, now it's all up to winning out in Vegas. And the sad reality, a lot of these conferences aren't going to get multiple teams.
One of the things I heard the other day on 610.
And I'm talking women's right now.
Yeah, I heard Jeff Symbieta say, okay, and he's not wrong, what's the Lobos signature win? Okay, they lost to Auburn, they beat Oklahoma, but Oklahoma's down, right?
Right.
So, when he broke it down like that, and I'm thinking that loss in conference, the one that they had a couple weeks ago, really hurt them.
Well, they lost at San Diego State, which was a bad loss.
Yes.
Because this is a down San Diego State team. This might be one of the most down San Diego State women's teams that they've had in about 10 years.
That says a lot. If they win
San Diego State was always top of the cream.
If they win that one, the Lobo women, then we're not really having this discussion. There still might be on the outskirts, but with that loss there, I think they have to win the tournament to hope to get a bid. And I think they can. I just still think they can. It's just there's been some inconsistent play.
And they still have to play at Boise, which is going to be tough
Boise's
because that's the only time that those two schools play each other, and it's at Boise.
Right. They won't have the home court advantage. But you know what? If I'm Mike Bradbury and the UNM women, they've had a good season. Why not? Why not us? Why can't we go to Boise and beat them if we're the team that everybody thinks we are? You can't put all your apples in that game, but I still think they have a chance to win that game.
Now, men's team, all of a sudden it goes from doom and gloom to, hey, we can win 4 straight games and be 500 and be a 6 seed and still be in the playing game, but have a better shot because I think San Jose State or whoever's the 8 seed would be the opponent. So, but there seems to be a lot more optimism because the only losable games are home games. Boise State is one of them, and who else do they have coming in?
Gosh, I can't remember. I'd have to look at the schedule. But yeah, here's my take on that. I saw a take by George Scott, former Lobo star, and I love George. George's a good guy, good friend.
Right.
But I tell you, I don't know where this reason for optimism is. I haven't seen it, okay, because I haven't seen consistent ball handling, consistent shooting. Defense has been a sieve all year long.
Right.
So where's the reason for optimism? And look, I'm as big as Lobo fan, you know that, as anybody there is. So I just don't see it. I haven't seen one thing that I could sit there and like the Lakers right now. They're slumping and they're playing horrible, and there's not one thing I can sit there and say, you know what, I think they're going to make the playoffs. I don't see that. So with the Lobos, I haven't seen one thing that can, or even a number of things that I can be encouraged about and say, I think they're going to make a run. They're going to win 4 straight. They might have a chance to win at the tournament. I don't see it. I don't. I really don't. They've been, the other night I turned it off near the last part of the game. 2 straight, what I call silly turnovers. And you got to take care of the basketball, right? Okay, so valued possessions, they don't do that. They don't really rebound real well. And I told you, Carlton Bragg, for him being an All-American, I haven't seen a point where I'm like, wow, gosh, there's the All-American that we thought we have. I haven't seen it.
Right.
Or, you know, we mentioned Dane Kuiper, and I want to go back to what I said about him. He's had some tendonitis in his knee, and he hasn't been able to really go out there and produce the way we know he can. McQuatch Malawatch has had a sophomore slump. So, you know, that position, there's not getting a lot of production. So I don't know where this optimism is coming from. I have no idea. I haven't seen a number of things that I can sit there and string together and say, you know what, I think when they get to the tournament in Las Vegas, they're going to make a run. The only thing I'm looking forward to right now is next year. And I hate to say that because, like I told you, we can't even look forward to any NIT
You are
bid.
not a next year person.
No,
I've known you way too long. You hate
saying,
hey, next year should be better.
You're right.
You want this
right.
year.
I want it all now. And I just haven't seen anything
So
that
it
would
probably
indicate
bugs
that.
the heck out of
It
you
does.
to look
It
forward
really
to next
does.
year because
No.
I know that's a
No,
bone
it
of
really
contention
does.
for you, which is kind of funny. Colorado State, by the way, is the other home game. So those 2 games are kind of
oh, yeah, that's right.
losable, if you will. But you got San Jose State and Wyoming. Those should be cakewalks for the Lobos. We'll take a break. One more segment. We'll wind things up here on the Sports Desk.
Talk to State Farm agent Greg Shamus today.
Sadie's is a proud supporter of New Mexico high school sports and athletics, and we here at Proview Networks would like to thank Sadie's for their continued support in helping us bring you all of your New Mexico high school sports coverage.
Car Crafters, proud supporter of Proview Sports Network.
Are you sure we're supposed to be doing this? Don't worry, I've watched him do it 1,000 times. Come on, what's the worst that could happen?
No! Bad dog! Hi, welcome to Car Crafters. What happened? Don't worry, we'll make it like it never happened.
Car Crafters, it's like it never happened.
Get into the game with Garden Swartz Team Sales. They have everything you need from screen printing, embroidery, and digital printing services, high school letterman jackets, and all high school and club uniforms and individual and team apparel with the most reliable brands like Speedline, Rollins, and Wilson. And don't forget to check out the latest F7 Shut helmet. It's all at Garden Swartz Team Sales. Give them a call, 505-884-1234. Garden Swartz Team Sales.
This is Coach Borrego of the Charlotte Hornets. Hello to all you parents out there in Albuquerque, New Mexico. I want to congratulate 38 years for the AYBL. You guys are doing a great job. You've shaped a lot of lives, young men and women, and you'll continue to do that. Parents, get involved, sign your kid up. It's a great program. It helped shape who I am today, helped shape me as a basketball player, as a coach. So get out there, sign them up. Have a great season. Good luck to everybody.
One final segment here on the Sports Desk. You can watch us each and every week here on ProView Network's Comcast 26 and Facebook Live, 10:30 every Tuesday morning. And we're going to be getting into the state tournament selection seating show. Will be on this weekend and
Sunday at 6 p.m. I believe. Sunday at 6.
That will be a fun one as
5:30. Sorry.
5:30.
Albany
Iowani
keeping
tells
us
so that'll be
real
on
here.
Sunday at 5:30. There are games on Saturday. That's why it's not going to be on Saturday. So the way the district championship schedules wind up, but you'll be able to find out where your favorite team is playing. One of the things that we haven't really talked about, Ed, is the fact that the girls are now, we've touched upon it, but not really gotten into it. All the girls' games from Tuesday until the final in 5A are at the pit now.
That's right. It used to be at Santa Ana, so that's a big change there. I think they're down from 192 to 160 teams. I can't remember. They're down 30 teams because of the changes in the state tournament brackets and districts and things like that. So that is a huge change because I remember being out at Santa Ana and calling some good quarters and semis out there with the 5A.
Oh, you and me
class.
both.
Yeah.
You and I would switch off basically in
Right.
years past, so and it was fun.
Oh, you know what?
But now it's going to be at the pit, so now you wonder what the atmosphere is going to be like.
And you know what? You brought this up before, but it's a different atmosphere as far as shooting, atmosphere, the ambiance, the whole thing. And then it swallows you up at first as a player, I'm sure. You've heard about this majestical building. All of a sudden you're running down the ramp and you're there, all these lights and oh man. So for a while, it's until you make that first basket.
Right.
And then it's like, let's go.
Right. Right.
So,
well, the biggest difference is also you get 500 people in the pit, it's still going to make noise. You get that same amount at the Santa Ana Star Center, you can get 1,000 people at the Star Center and it doesn't sound like anyone's there because the acoustics are so much different. That place is meant for concerts. That place is meant for events like that where the sound gets absorbed. So if there's a lot of people yelling, I've been at loud crowds that don't sound that loud there, but you put them in the pit, and it sounds like a lot more people than are actually there.
well, remember when Shiprock played Hope a couple years ago, the girls.
That was,
10,000
well, you know what?
Oh my
Well,
gosh.
I'm sitting
Yeah.
with Bob Brown
Yeah.
up in, where he used to do a show at the pit, and he's saying, this is a pit game. And everyone was talking about, this is like a pit game. This is like, a men's game.
You know what?
How loud it was
Oh, I
because
couldn't believe
you
it.
couldn't hear yourself.
I really couldn't. And, again, Hope girls had a great season that year. They're, 16 and 17-year-old, 18-year-old girls. Anybody else, when I heard that, I'm like, oh my goodness, it was ear splitting. It
Mhm.
really was. So I think, and you
And
mentioned.
it got louder and louder and louder
Oh,
to the
man.
point where I was talking to UNM people and saying, this is like a pit game.
Yeah.
And everyone knows a pit game is as loud as it gets.
And I've seen, UNM men's games that were pit games, Georgetown, Arizona, UNLV back in the day. Oh my goodness. And you talk about acoustics
The
and the way it
last
was
year of
absorbed.
the 18,000 plus for me was my first year doing UNM games, BYU, Utah, the last game of the year where they had a chance to be the three-way tie for first. And, that game was a true pit game where the crowd was cheering. Scott Didrikson, my former partner, and I were yelling at each other, and we couldn't hear each other with the headsets on.
Right next to each other.
Yeah. Right now, we were elbow to elbow or shoulder to shoulder, basically next to each other. And we were yelling, and we couldn't hear each other. It's like, you can't make that kind of stuff up. That's what makes the pit such a great place.
No, what a great moment. You'll never forget that.
Nope.
I remember yelling with Henry T. And he's like, you don't need to yell, but I couldn't hear myself. I thought
Right.
nobody could hear me. But it was La Cueva El Dorado championship, boys championship. And I remember him saying that you don't need to yell, but I thought, man, I could barely hear myself talk. So yeah, that place again, Dream Style Arena, the pit, University Arena, whatever you want to call it. What a venue for high school basketball that it's been.
Lobo baseball team off to a 5-3 start, and they face off against San Jose State in Mountain West play this week as they play Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. Then Cal State Fullerton comes into town for a non-conference series next week, and for the most part it'll be Mountain West action, but Lobos almost beating Oregon State a couple of weeks ago, and then they lost in the rematch and went 2-2 in Arizona. They lost the first game against Niagara last week, had weather issues, but they won the final 3 games.
Yeah, they did. So they, again, heck, on Friday, they just got snowed out. And they did get the games in on Saturday. So, I think Ray Birmingham, UNM baseball coach Ray Birmingham, now that he's got the contract signed, that was a big thing over him. I saw him at Manny's
Oh, I'm
restaurant.
sorry. They play at Arizona tomorrow, a non-conference
Arizona?
game. Then they play home, San Jose.
But I think Coach Birmingham's able to move forward now now that he's got that contract signed. I think that is a big albatross off his neck.
Huge albatross.
Yeah.
Final minute, Ed, final thoughts.
Hey, you know what? Another great week of tournament basketball. Looking forward to the seeding and the selection show. You know what? How many watch parties throughout the state are tuned in to Proview Networks?
A ton.
A
ton.
We have a lot of fun, and I'm really looking
Especially
forward to it.
during basketball. It is a ton. It's a
It really
fun
is.
time.
Oh, yeah. So I'm looking forward to it.
I'd like to thank Alden Iowani, our fine director, and the guys. For Ed Nunez, I'm Scott Coletti. We'll see you next week on the Sports Desk.
department at Gala Chevrolet is clean, modern, and ready for you. Our master technicians service every make and model, including certified service on any GM vehicle. Service done right the first time, every time, right here at the all-new Gala Chevrolet.
Sadie's is a proud supporter of New Mexico high school sports and athletics, and we here at Proview Networks would like to thank Sadie's for their continued support in helping us bring you